Our tale takes place over 2,000 years ago in Jerusalem. The chill was in the winter winds as they raced across the Mount of Olives. Far down in a valley, the trade caravan of Pathros of Palmyra was setting camp for the night. Inside the tent of Pathros, his camel boy Hafid was kneeling at his feet. Hafid, I have always treated you as my own. Would you please repeat your request to me? Said Pathros. Sir Pathros, I am but a camel boy, but I've always wanted to aspire to be a salesman. You've always spoken that the salesmen are those that make the most wealth. Pathros looked at the boy. And if I should teach thee to be a salesman, what would the purpose be? What would your goal be? Well, Pathros, I would aspire to have the wealth that you have, to take care of my family the way you take care of yours, and to give to those that need. Wealth, my son, should not be the goal in life. You should aspire for happiness. You should aspire for greatness. You should aspire for love. Immediately, he could see that the tone of Hihad changed a bit. The boy began to blush. Because in fact, as Ehud shared, he had just fallen in love with the daughter of Kalina. Kalina was a famous man, and a camel boy was not one to grasp the hand of his daughter. Pathros immediately changed his mind and decided that he would teach Ehud to be a salesman. He sat and he lectured Ehud on how difficult it was going to become, because those that make the most deal with the worst of jobs. To be a salesman was not easy, but he was going to give the boy a chance. He said, Ehud, I will give you this robe. This robe we have sold thousands of. This red seamless robe, made from the finest fur of goats, shall be yours to take and sell. You will take one robe to Bethlehem and return. Well, now everybody knew that in Bethlehem was where the poorest of poor lived. But Ehud said to himself, one robe, there's 1,000 homes there. Surely a boy can sell one robe. So he strapped it to his donkey and headed off to Bethlehem. Three days later, I'm so sorry, dude. That is so horrible. 3 days later, let's start that part over. 3 days later, Ehud sat on his donkey in Bethlehem. Why will nobody buy this robe for me? I can't do this. Nobody has any money. People tell me to come back another time. Now I can't even go knock on a door because the fear is so great to sell this robe. Those thoughts just echoed in his head, telling him what he couldn't do. And then suddenly, the face of Kalina's daughter popped into his mind. And he decided right then and there that if he wanted to grasp that love, he needed to sell this robe. And he made a pact right there that next day he was going to go out and sell that robe in the streets of Bethlehem. He decided to go up to the mountains and find a cave so he could save his expenses for a night's stay, get that rest, and attack Bethlehem in the sale the next morning. As he entered the cave, there was a flicker of light in the back. He looked and he could see a man and a woman huddled together in the damp cold. And in between the man and the woman was a brand new infant baby. Ehud immediately walked over to his donkey, unstrapped the red seamless robe, walked up and wrapped it around the infant as it smiled at him. As Ehud rode his donkey back to Pathros's caravan, the wet kiss from the mother was still on his face. He thought the entire ride back about what he was going to say to Pathros upon his return. Sure enough, right as he rode up to the caravan, there was Pathros standing outside, staring up at the heavens. Ehud kept his head down. Pathros said to him, "What happened in Bethlehem?" Ehud shared his story of all the negative thoughts in his mind, all the terrible things that had happened, and how he had thought of Kalina, but yet still failed. And Pathros was curious. He didn't see the robe with Ehud. How could he have failed? And here was this bright star that had followed him from Bethlehem and now was shining above the caravan. Pathros said to him, "Ehud, come into my tent. Let's talk about this." Takes Ehud into his tent, hears the whole story. And he says to Ehud, "You have not made any money, but you have changed my heart forever." Ehud went on to grasp the hand of the daughter of Kalina and marry her. He went on to take over Pathros' caravan, and he went on to become the greatest salesman in the world. But that's not where our story ends. Our story ends with the last couple days of Ehud's life as he sat in his garden, wondering if his legacy was going to come to an end, when in walks a man named Paul. Paul says, "Are you Ehud, the greatest salesman in the world?" And he says, "Why, yes, I am." And Paul proceeds to pull out of his bag a worn and tattered red seamless robe made from the finest goat hair, and proceeds to tell Ehud about baby Jesus